Hi guys. Sit. 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 Loki. Actually, it's really cold in here. Okay. Hi guys. I'm gonna prop you guys up. Maybe. Oh, my knee hurts so bad. Oh, dropped you. I really need to get my life together today. I have to get ready for the day. So I thought, you know what? I haven't gone live in a while, so I'm gonna go live and talk to you guys about my story because it is Rainbow Baby Week and I have the cutest little rainbow baby and he's not here right now, so it's a perfect opportunity to talk. So I have a lot of new Facebook friends. Hi Brooklyn, you inspired me to do this. I have a lot of new Facebook friends. A lot of you guys don't know what all went down. Probably going to be a painful conversation. But I have never had good pregnancies ever in my life. And I have 3 children, living children. I have 3 angel children in heaven. And so with my first pregnancy, my daughter, Adia, she is amazing. She's brilliant. She's the smartest little girl that I know. But I was a young mom. Corey and I literally started dating, and I got pregnant with her 2 weeks after we became official. So I was 20. I turned 21 when I was 9 months pregnant, and she was the most beautiful little baby. But during that pregnancy, I started experiencing contractions really early on. I don't really remember when I started having them, but I didn't realize that they were contractions because I'd never been pregnant before. My belly would tighten up, and when it was a really small belly, it would look like I swallowed like a tennis ball. I was really sick with her, and when she was born, I had really bad complications during the labor process. I was in and out of labor and delivery the whole time I was pregnant because I was contracting so bad, so they had to give me terbutaline and all these different medications to keep me pregnant because they had realized I was contracting. And when I had her, I went to the hospital, terrible hospital by the way, and told them, like, I think I'm in labor. They were like, you're 37 weeks, you're not in labor. You come in here all the time. Like, you could tell that they were very annoyed with me. But my doctor had been sending me in every time that I went to labor and delivery. So I got this really crappy nurse, and she was basically like, you cannot come back until you can't walk or can't talk. Like, your contractions should be strong enough that you can't breathe. And at that time, I was in so much pain. It was the most painful contractions that I had ever experienced throughout my pregnancy, and I was throwing up, and this is like TMI, I was throwing up and having diarrhea with every single contraction, like religiously. Every 5 minutes I was vomiting, dry heaving. It felt like someone was tearing my skin apart. Like, it felt like Wolverine dug his claws into my stomach and was just ripping me. It was the worst thing ever. So she's like, don't come back in until you can't talk. And I'm like, I can talk in between contractions, you idiot, but I can't talk during them. Like, it's really painful. And she sent me home. They gave me a shot of terbutaline, and which stops your contractions, or it's supposed to if you're not in active labor. And I continued to contract. So my mom took me back to Spencer. I'm from Indy, so like good hour and a half drive. Took me back to Spencer. My doctor calls. It's like midnight at this point, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. My doctor calls and she's like, did you ever make it to the hospital? My mom's like, yeah, we took her and they sent us home without my doctor's permission. And the doctor's like, if she's still doing this in like an hour, you guys need to leave and head back up north. And I was still doing it. I did it till 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember laying in my mom's house literally in so much pain. I was screaming, like horrible, horrible pain, vomiting. My mom was like, everyone, we were just all sitting in a dark room and nobody was talking, and I was just screaming, like horrible screams. And every single time someone would try to talk to me, I would be like, stop talking. You know, when you're like in so much pain, or like you're sick and people are trying to talk to you and you're like, I can't even like focus on what you're saying right now, stop talking. That's how I was. And so we got back in the car. I had to pull over 4 times to poop and vomit on the side of the road. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, my parents live in the middle of nowhere. So gross. So we get back to the hospital and I walk in and the nurse goes, she's back. And I literally was like, oh, I wanted to cut her. Like, I was like freaking losing it. My mom was like, shut your mouth and get someone over here. So the doctor comes up. He's like, weren't you just here? And my mom, I literally cannot speak at this point. Like, I came back when I couldn't talk. My mom was like, the doctor sent us back here. We didn't just come back in willingly. Something is wrong. They take me in to labor and delivery in like the triage area. And they see that my baby's heart rate is like 270. So they're like, we have to take you back for an emergency C-section. Please keep in mind, I've never had a baby before. I'm a young girl that's having a baby, and they're rushing me away from my mom. Like, I wanted my mom. I'm still like basically a teenager. I wanted my mom, and they pulled me away from my mom, took me back there. I get back there and they start the surgery and Corey passes out. I'm not even freaking kidding. Corey's back there. He freaking hits the ground, passes out. Everyone leaves me with my guts hanging out and goes and takes care of Corey. Like, it was the worst experience ever. Not ever, but pretty close. So Adia was born. She was perfect. She had no complications. Like, she was born 100% perfect. So then, like, Adia, let's say, is probably a year and a half. We are planning on moving into a new house. We had just closed on our house. We were actually ripping carpet out of our house, and I started getting really bad back pain, and I was like, oh, I must have like a kidney infection or something. So I go to the doctor. They send me to the ER because they can't find anything wrong with me. And guess what? I'm pregnant again with Kason. So I find out I'm pregnant again. We're scared. We're young parents, still young, still have a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old, and can't afford anything. And I get pregnant with Kason, and the contractions start at 8 weeks. 8. Okay? So by like 18 weeks, I had lost my mucus plug, and my doctor put me on strict bed rest. I couldn't get up for 20 weeks except to go to the bathroom, and that's it, and to shower once a day. That was my instructions. Lay on your right side. Do not move unless you have to pee or go shower. That's it. So for 20 weeks, all through the winter, it was horrible. I was so depressed. I laid in bed. My mom came up here 3 days a week to take care of Adia so she didn't have to go to daycare all day. And she would make me meals for the week, and she would do my laundry because I couldn't do anything. It was terrible. And what are you doing, silly? And I hung in there. My cervix was dilated at 3 by 20 weeks. It was horrible. And Kason was born at 38 weeks. And when he came out, we had another C-section. He aspirated and had to stay in the NICU for 3 days. So I had to stay at the hospital a day longer, and they literally took my baby from me, and I didn't see him. And people were like showing me pictures of him, and I was like, stop looking at him. Like, I don't want anyone to look at him until I get to look at him. I've not even seen his face. Like, oh my gosh, it was terrible. So then we're like at the point where Corey's like, we are done having kids. Like, those 2 were enough. We're done having kids. And I'm like, nope. I need another baby, because like I felt like I didn't get to enjoy even trying to get pregnant with them because it was such an accident both times. And I also just like always pictured myself with 4 kids, so I needed like 2 more. So we start trying, and it's not happening. Like, it's just not happening. And we tried for 5 months, no success, which doesn't sound like very long. But then I finally got pregnant on Clomid, which is a fertility drug, and we lost the baby at 6 weeks. They told me to be careful because you're really fertile when you have a miscarriage. I was completely wrecked. Like, completely wrecked. I don't handle death well, and I know, like, no one really handles it well, but, like, I really don't, and I'm really freaked out by death, and the fact that I had a dead baby in my body was freaking me out, and, like, the fact that, like, I lost a baby was freaking me out. I was going through all these horrible grief feelings, and they gave me, like, a pill so I would pass it, and then I got pregnant again 2 weeks later. So I was like, this is it. This is God. He allowed me to get pregnant again. And no, I mean, it was God, but we lost that baby too. So during that, this is really, really bad. So if you don't like nasty things, you should probably get off the phone or get off the live video. But we had to go to Florida for an It Works conference. It was back when I was doing It Works, and I had to speak, and I had like a big cocktail dinner with the CEO. Like, I had to go. So Corey's like, we're not going to stay home over this. Like, I want you to get out and have fun. Like, we need to get your mind off of it. So we went to Florida, and I passed the baby while I was there at the hotel, and no one was with me. I was in the bathroom in my room, and everyone else was at the pool, and I was literally on the bathroom floor, like, holding it, crying. Like, it's horrible that I had to go through that and see that, and just, it was awful. So that one wrecked me again, and then we kept trying. I ended up having a surgery to drill holes in my ovaries to kind of reset my cycle, and I also had, that's when I found out I had endometriosis. So they removed all that. I got pregnant again. Chemical pregnancy, which is an early miscarriage again, and everyone around me was having babies. It was the most frustrating thing to try to be happy for my loved ones and my friends that were all pregnant. We were all trying to get pregnant at the same time, and I couldn't keep a baby in my stomach to save my life. So I ended up finding this doctor that specialized in miscarriages, and I was like, I need to be fixed. Like, something is wrong with me. And he explained to me that what he thought was happening was my body starts contracting the minute it finds out that it's pregnant. Of course, I can't feel the contractions when my uterus is small, but around 8 weeks, that's when I start feeling them every single time. And he said basically that my body was expelling the baby. Like, I couldn't keep a baby in my uterus because I had such a irritable uterus. So he put me, time out. I got pregnant again, and it was considered a rescue pregnancy. I was about to start fertility treatments, which, like, IVF essentially. He put me on all the medication for IVF to, like, get my hormones up, to get me feeling, to get my body in prime, like, baby making, state. So I started taking progesterone shots every day. I had to take metformin, baby Tylenol, or baby aspirin. There was like 2 other prescriptions I had to take, and then I had to do progesterone suppositories twice a day. And I got super sick. I really think it was the progesterone, but I got way, way, way sick, and I got diagnosed with hyperemesis. And I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks and ended up in the hospital for a week because I couldn't keep food down, and I was refusing to take Zofran, which is like a drug for nausea when you can't use anything else, nothing else is working. And I am kind of grateful that I did end up having to get the IV of Zofran, but I know it causes heart conditions, and that was my concern. And my child has a heart condition, so it served its purpose. It kept me and my baby alive, but it did not, it gave my kid a heart condition. So it's kind of like you pick your poison. You want to die because you're not eating. You want your baby to die, or do you want your kid to be alive with a heart issue? So I stayed in the hospital for a week, got better, started eating solid food again, and they got me set up with home health care, and I was supposed to get a PICC line so that my nurse could change out my Zofran pump for me, and my freaking nurse didn't show up. And then I found out it was because there was no nurses in my area. Like, there was only a select amount of nurses and they already had jobs. So like I didn't have a home health care nurse. Like I fell through the cracks. So I had to keep going back to the hospital, and I finally got to the point where my nausea let up around, it was like second trimester. So I never gained a single pound with Raiden. I literally lost weight during my pregnancy and never gained it back. And then I found out, this is just so much, you guys, you're going to think I'm crazy. I found out that I had placenta previa, and it was a complete previa, so the placenta was completely covering my cervix, which in a C-section standpoint, I already had to have a C-section, so that was okay, but there's a huge risk of bleeding and hemorrhaging when you have placenta previa, and there's a risk of you dying. Like, it's pretty serious. Like, the mom can die, and it happens a lot, actually. And I was terrified. If this placenta doesn't move out of the way and doesn't get up where it's supposed to be, it could literally rip from my body at any time and I could die. So I had that going on. Then I found out I had gestational diabetes. So I couldn't eat whatever I wanted. I had to watch my blood sugar to make sure my baby didn't come out, with low blood sugar and huge. I also forgot to tell you guys, I had to have my cervix sewn shut at 10 weeks. So they went in and did surgery while I was pregnant and sewed my cervix shut. The doctor that did it was super old, and he did an old technique and used basically fishing line to sew my cervix shut. So at 20 weeks, my cervix started contracting and it ripped. And the strain decapitated my cervix, and I was bleeding my entire pregnancy, and I ended up with a cervical infection. Like, it was, when I say it was horrible, I mean it was horrible. It was awful. So at 28 weeks, I go in for a routine ultrasound, and I'm excited to see that my placenta has moved, and they go over and they look at Raiden's heartbeat, and his heartbeat is 265. They rush me up north, and first they took me to the hospital down here, and then they lifelined me up north. And I was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks to get his heart rate converted to a normal rhythm. I had my baby shower in a hospital. I had to sit there and listen to my baby's heartbeat sound like if I ever heard that sound again, I think I would throw up. It was like the fastest heartbeat I've ever heard in my life. Like, you couldn't even count the beats because they were so fast. And I had to take a medication that was strong enough to pass through the placenta to get to Raiden, but wasn't strong enough to hurt my heart. So they put me on a medicine called digoxin. It did not work. It did not convert his heart rate. It made me feel like absolute dog crap. Like, it was horrible. And then they put me on a medicine called flecainide, which is the medicine I think caused Raiden's eye issues. So there's always a side effect with these drugs. That's why I'm a hope dealer. I wish I had CBD while I was pregnant. I wish I would have taken it every day. But I was in that hospital for 3 weeks. I was depressed. I thought I would never get out of there. And if I could go back, I would have calmed myself down and just said, like, this is temporary. Because when you're stuck in a hospital and you can't move and you're stuck to an IV pole, and your highlight of your evening is your husband pushing you in a wheelchair when everyone's left the hospital, and looking in the gift shop windows and when it's closed, and looking at the little babies and the windows, and like, that was my date night for 3 weeks. And it was so sad because my mom had to literally do everything for my kids, and I'm so thankful Corey didn't have to work back then, because I don't know what I would have done. But they got his heart rate converted finally, and I had to stay a few extra days to keep it down. And I had to take that flecainide around the clock, so I would have to wake up at 2 times in the middle of the night and take it. Like, set my alarm and wake up and take my medicine. And so when he was born, I feel like I'm leaving part of the story out because I think there was something else that was going on too. Oh, so I had to take my cerclage out before I had Raiden because I cut through. Like, my cervix was like this. It literally cut it in half. Like, cut my cervix open. So they had to take it out. My doctor was out of town, and sorry if you're watching. I love my doctor. He's awesome. But the other doctor in his office sucks, and she was so mean to me. She was like, we have to take this out, like, come up to labor and delivery and I'll take it out. Well, then she never called me to let me know what time I was supposed to go to the hospital. So I was blowing her phone up, like, I can't walk. I'm in physical pain. Like, why are you acting like this isn't a big deal? You know, like when I was in the office, she was like, it's completely decapitated, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is a big deal. And then when we get to like the point where I need to go to the hospital to get it taken out, she's like, yeah, like didn't want to do it. So finally I was like, you're taking this out or I will take it out myself. Like, I am in so much pain, I cannot walk. And she's like, okay, we're going to come up to the hospital and we're going to give you a spinal, which is what they give you when you're in a C-section, take you into the OR and remove it. And I was like, cool. I don't care how much it costs. Get this thing out of me. I'm done. Like, not the baby, but the cerclage, I'm done. Because I was like 38 weeks, so, or maybe 37. So I didn't care if he came early. And so this is really bad too. So if you don't want to hear it, get off the video. She comes in the room, I'm in labor and delivery in a bed, and she's like, we're just going to try to get it out in here. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, we're just going to go ahead and take it out. And I was like, you said you were going to take me to the OR and numb me. She said, nope, we're going to try to take it out in here. I've never felt so violated in my life, you guys. Like, I felt sexually violated. And I know it wasn't a sexual thing, but when someone's like up in your hoo-ha ripping your guts out, literally it felt like someone was tearing my guts out, like pulling them out of me. It was horrible. And I was screaming. Corey was holding my hand, looking in my eyes, crying. My nurse was crying, holding my other hand. Like, they were both like talking me through it. You can do this. And I'm like screaming, stop. Like, please stop. Please stop. Please get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. And she wouldn't. And she had scissors in there cutting this thing. And she cut me. She was cutting me inside. Like, it was horrific. And it makes me want to cry talking about it because I seriously felt like violated, that I was in so much pain and it was so inhumane that she did that to me. And I was sitting there and just dying. It was horrible. Oh my God, I can't even like imagine going through that ever again. So she was like, if you don't stop, she like smacked my leg and she's like, if you don't stop moving, you're going to end up getting hurt. And I was like, I am getting hurt. Get out. Like, get out. She's like yelling at me while she's doing this because I can't hold still. It's like literally torture. It was torture. So she pulls it out and she's like, it wasn't that bad, was it? And I was like, are you freaking joking? I have an infection in my cervix and you're like ripping a wire out of me. Like, oh my gosh, it was terrible. That was probably the worst part of the whole thing. And so I kept Raiden in till full term. I go in for a normal check. His heart rate's doing funky rhythms, and my doctor was like, we're just going to send you up to labor and delivery. You might be having a baby tonight. So he comes up there, and he's like, if he does this through the night and his heart keeps doing this, then we're going to take him. And I was like, okay. So we woke up the next morning. He's like, are you ready to have a baby? I was like, yes, I am. I'm very ready to have a baby. This has been horrible. And we had my C-section, and I was told by my high-risk doctor, I had like 3 different doctors during this whole thing, 4 actually. I was told that Raiden would not be going home with me, that he has a heart condition, that I cannot get my hopes up and think that I'm taking this baby home, because it's not going to happen. And so I had prepared myself to leave Raiden in the hospital and go home to my kids. Like, it was hard. And he came out. My mom was back there with me because I've learned my lesson after 2 times of Corey basically passing out. He did pass out the first time. The second time he almost did. That Corey cannot be back there during a C-section. So my mom went with me, and I heard this like scream, this beautiful cry, and they put Raiden on my chest. And I'd never held one of my own babies first. Someone else has always held them first. I never got that privilege. And they put him on my chest, and they wrapped a blanket around us, and I said, what are you doing? He's sick. Like, take him. I know he's sick. Get him out of here. Save his life. Do what you need to do. And the nurse looked at me, and she's like, he's not sick, Skylar. He's perfect, and he's all yours. And I literally just, like, melted. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you gotta take him. You gotta take him home. Like, you gotta go back to your room. So, like, they literally pushed me in my bed, me holding my baby. And I came into the room, and Corey was standing there pacing the floor. in my room with my best friend standing by him. And I came in with my baby. And they all started crying because nobody thought that I would get him in my room. And it was just so much work to get him here. And he's my rainbow. He's my rainbow baby. And I still like suffer from a lot of pain from going through all this. I feel like I really truly have PTSD. It was just so bad. And I struggle with wanting another baby knowing that my body can't handle it. But it's just so amazing to like kind of go back and think about all that I've been through and all that I've done to get my kids here. And I think it's amazing that they are doing a Rainbow Baby Week, because there's so many moms out there like me who really struggled, you know, during their pregnancy or to get their babies here. And we deserve to have that honor of having a week where we feel like we're celebrating. And at the time, I remember just feeling like I'm just being a huge baby and I'm not handling this well, and I'm a freaking warrior. I am a warrior. Rockland's a warrior. She's on here. I don't know if she still is. She's been through a lot. Jess is on here. She's a warrior. She's been through a lot. We all have our rainbow babies, and it's just, my heart is just ready to explode thinking about all that I've been through. If you've had a miscarriage, I'm so sorry for your losses, and it's just a horrible, horrible thing to go through. If you guys look at my window here, you probably can't see it because of the screen, but we have a tree that we planted last year on the death anniversary of our second rainbow baby, and it was for all three of the babies. So I can always look out there. Hopefully it'll start growing soon because it's looking pretty dead. Hopefully the tree doesn't die. Like, that would be really depressing, but it was nice because all my friends came over that day and were with me, and we planted the tree together and just had a big party, and it was so nice not to have to go through that hard day by myself. Yeah, Caitlin, I was talking about Dr. A-hole. I know. She's a horrible person. She should be, whatever, shut down. Her license should be taken away. So, I am praying for you if you're a mom of a rainbow baby or you haven't got your rainbow baby yet. I'm praying, and I really do want another baby. It's like something I cry about probably 2 or 3 times a week. But I just don't know that it's in the cards for us. So if it is, God will find a way, right? So I will let you guys go, and I'm just honoring the moms today that have been through some tough stuff. I've got friends going through it right now, and it's hard. It's horrible. It's hard. Being a mom is not easy at all, but that's why God chose us to do this job, because the guys definitely couldn't handle it if you didn't realize that already. There's no way Corey could handle being pregnant. I told him the other day, I was like, I wish that you had a uterus so that you could carry a baby for us. So I don't really know what this Drew Johnson guy means by jumping in a garbage can. So I'm going to block him. Why didn't you sue her? I don't know. I could have sued a lot of people during my pregnancy. I could have sued Zofran for giving my baby a heart condition. I could have sued the doctor for ripping my cerclage out of me while I wasn't numb. There's so many things I could do, but I just honestly feel like God will take care of their karma. I just feel like it wasn't my place to like go after them. I guess I should have. I could have sued St. Francis for almost killing my daughter because they sent me home while I was in active labor and did not help me when I came back. Well, wouldn't help me when I was there the first time, I guess. yeah, so thank you, Beth. You can carry a baby for me. I really do want a surrogate. I just don't know that I can, like, stomach it, having my baby in someone else's body, you know? Just makes me sad because I want my body to work. I'm not that old. I'm only 30. I need to get off here and stop crying about babies. This is literally like my weakness. My, like, if there was a weakness, this is it. Like, babies, my weakness. But I am accepting babies on my porch, so if you know anyone that wants to get rid of theirs, they can drop it off. I have a drop box out there. Just kidding about the drop box, but I'm not kidding about the babies. So, all right, guys, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a great day.